Hello, world. What is up? Woo, indeed. Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Matt Forte. We are here live at the Build studio in New York City. Our next guest stars on one of the smartest, funniest, and frankly, best shows to hit TV since like Parks and Rec, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, or The Office even. And much like any one of those classics, this show is nothing without its incredible cast. As the third season comes to a close, this Thursday, fans everywhere will be tuning in to see what crazy, unforeseen ways the show reinvents itself and leaves us and all of our favorite members of the Brainy Bunch hanging until next season. Guys, holy forking shirt from the good place, William Jackson Harper is here. How about that? We excited? It's exciting, right? I'm excited too. We're going to get started in just a second, but before we do, I believe we have a look at the show, so let's go ahead and run that clip.
The true meaning of life, the actual ethical system that you should all follow is nihilism. The world is empty. There is no point to anything, and you're just gonna die. So do whatever. And now, I'm gonna eat my marshmallow candy chili in silence, and you all can jump up your own butts.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great William Jackson Harper right here. Come on. It's sound advice, really, is what it is. You watch a clip like that, and he's not wrong.
Yeah,
he's not
no, that's absolutely right.
Dude, congratulations. Thanks so much for being here and hanging out with us, and congrats on yet another incredible season of this wonderful show. How are you doing, man? How's life right now? How are you feeling?
Life is great. I mean, you know, I have a job. I mean, that's...
You got a couple?
I got a couple of jobs. So, yeah, I'm flying high.
I saw you were just on Busy's show last week, and I was reading that was your first late night gig before, first time doing late night TV. That's pretty wild. What was that like? Were you nervous going into that?
Hell yeah, I was nervous. I was just like a damp mess under my denim shirt, man. But thankfully she's like, you know, really like buoyant, and like whenever the ball was about to drop, which I was definitely going to drop it, she picked it right up and kept us afloat.
Is that what your big fear was? That like there would just be an awkward pause or a silence at something, like you wouldn't have a great story or a great answer? Like where do the nerves come from?
The nerves come, well, that. I mean, it's like, yeah, exactly that. You got it right. I mean, like, we did a pre-interview, and there was like, do you have any funny stories or anything that you could tell? I'm like, I don't think about myself enough to like just remember, you know, stories and be like, this is great. And usually when I tell stories, they're duds. They usually don't work out for me. So I'm like really afraid to like launch into a long talk of any kind.
And you don't have to answer this. I know I'm putting you on the spot terribly, but you say that some of your stories are duds. Do you have a story that you thought would knock it out of the park, but it just fell flat every time you've tried to tell it? And you're like, surely someone must see why this is not a dud. Do you have a dud in mind? You don't have to.
I mean,
we can move on.
I don't know, man. I feel like most of my stories are exactly that. I'm like, this is great. Hey, check this out. And then like it ends with, but he didn't eat that. You know, it's like something really stupid, and it's like, you know.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. Well, this whole show, we pride ourselves on getting a couple of duds. It's part of the process.
Oh, great. Then I won't disappoint.
Because the duds, they sit right above the gold. You know, you're just below them. So, so far, no duds though. I think you're doing great.
Thanks, man.
If you had to ballpark, because not only Busy, I saw, you know, looking and researching and such, a ton of articles and stuff with you popping up. How many of these and phoners have you had to do? Is this the most you've ever had to do in your life so far in the past couple of weeks? You've been all over the place.
Yeah. You know, I'm finding that I'm just like giving a lot of the same answers, and that's great. It's like, okay, it's like I don't have to. As an actor, you know, you don't really say your words in front of people that often, which is much safer. So, I've like sort of like found a way to just sort of have like a kind of script, so I don't like just, you know.
I'll try really hard not to push you into your uncomfortable.
It's okay. I mean, like, you know, it's your show, and I will tank it. You know, if I like.
That's exactly what I'm looking for. Well, no, it's so funny though, because like no matter how many of these you do, and like a lot of people, we've fallen in love with you. We know you because of Chidi, because of The Good Place. But you've been in the game for a minute. You've been doing this for a little while. But nothing, I think, that I've seen so far prepares anybody for like this part of the process, where you got to go out and talk about the thing and talk about yourself and all that. And it's a learning process. No matter how long you've been doing this, this is still a weird thing for people to have to like kind of figure out and do.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And I think most of the actors that I know, they're kind of introverted, and they actually like it's acting as a way to sort of hide in plain sight and sort of exercise all your little weird demons and behave really badly, and then you hide. So this part where it's like, oh no, this is just me. So anything that is awful or really boring or stupid or that's just me. I can't blame it on the writer.
Here it is, just you, duds and all, man. This
Yeah,
is
man.
it. It's you and your duds.
Yeah.
Let me get to a story that I saw that I thought was fascinating, man. And I always love these kinds of stories. And so we're gonna go back for a second. When you got The Good Place, I had read that like this gig was it for you. You'd put your time in, and you were kind of done with the business. And had you not gotten this, you probably would have like hung up the acting towel. I don't know, what is it, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you would have. So tell me a little about that. Where was your head going into this? What were you thinking when you got the audition for the show? Like what was that process like for you, man?
Well, I mean, I did the first read out here. I was going out to LA for pilot season. I went into a producer session there, and it was really like a really warm room. Like everyone was really nice, and we had a great time. And I got the call for the screen test like before I even got back to my car, and went in, and I for the screen test I didn't know that Kristen Bell was going to be there. And that's like, you don't just drop that on somebody, you don't just be like, like you can't just walk in and then there's like this gorgeous person in the corner just being normal, and you're like, I can't be normal, like so again, the fear sweats, and but we had a really great time, and then I was like climbing the walls for days waiting to get the call, and I had gone to a museum that day, and the friend that I went to the museum with said that, you should watch the pilot episode of Cheers. It really holds up. And I was like, oh, okay. So I put on the pilot episode of Cheers, and as soon as it ended, I got the call that I was going to be doing the show. Yeah.
Now, hang on a second. Did you guys, just like you didn't know Kristen Bell was going to be in the room, you knew Ted Danson was going to be in the show, right? Or no, was that cut?
No, I knew that.
You knew that.
Yeah.
That you knew. Yeah. Okay. My mind's still blown. I just thought.
Yeah, so was mine, dude. I mean, yeah, I was like, I'm not supposed to be on that show.
It's so wild, man.
Yeah. So it was crazy.
Well, what was your backup plan? What if this didn't work? What if you didn't get it? You talk a lot about now. How about this was going to be it? What were you going to do? You're like, if this doesn't work, I'm working at blah. Like, what were you going to do instead?
I had no idea. I thought maybe I could teach. I'd been working long enough that I could at least tell people where I messed up. And I was like, I can do that.
Learn from my mistakes.
I learn from my mistakes. Yeah. I worked, but also here's where I dropped the ball.
Yeah,
and I can impart some knowledge on that front. But other than that, I had really no idea.
Yeah.
I figured I would just do acting as like a hobby, and yeah, I don't know.
It's a little bit more than that now, isn't it, man?
It's a little more.
It's a little bit more.
More.
I'm excited to talk to you so much about not just this show, the other stuff you got going on, but there's an incredible part of where you're at right now and the show that you're on. This show, you're breathing rare air because it's not just a hit show. That's happening, cool, but it's also got an incredible fan base. People, I don't know, for those watching that aren't on the East Coast, it's negative 1,000,000 degrees outside right now. It is the coldest it's ever been. You got a packed house here of dedicated fans. And while I was doing my research, I came across, I want to throw this up, our friends over at Tumblr, there is tons of The Good Place fan art. Are you aware of some of this incredible fan art? What is it like to have a character to be a part? Look at you render. I know, isn't that great? Isn't that great? What is it like to see this kind of response? Leave this up for a minute, guys. To see this kind of response to a character that you've been working on, to a show that you're working on, to be a part of this. So how does that feel? What is that like?
I'm seeing a lot of these for the first time. It's like some, yeah. These are great. it's crazy, man. I mean, like people will like tag me and stuff on Instagram that they just drew, and I'm like, wow, like why, how, who, like why do you, like why, I mean, I guess I mean I understand why people are so passionate about the show because I think it's a really intelligent show and like our fans are like really smart people, so I can understand sort of just getting absorbed with that and going down that rabbit hole. But this is amazing. I'm not really sure. I look evil as hell, which I think is great. And then maybe my eyebrows actually do that. But yeah, that's.
We couldn't not include that one, but I was sure to put the really pretty painting of you guys kissing right next to it, just to soften the evil icon.
No, but that's great. I mean,
it is great, yeah.
I mean, that is the way I feel around certain desserts. So.
That is a face you made around cupcakes.
Oh yeah,
for sure. Yeah, it's just such an amazing community, and this doesn't happen with every show that comes out. Even popular shows that come out, there are plenty popular shows that you can't find a bunch of beautiful artwork and stuff like this for. So I thought it was really something special, which is why I wanted to put that picture next to your head for, if only for a few moments.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm just sort of bowled over by it. I think also like sort of the aesthetic of the show is just so bright and saturated and strange that it can inspire a lot of crazy art. And yeah, this is so great.
And you know how it's real too, how it's like legit, and these are people that actually care? You'd be shocked. I thought going into this search, I would find mountains, heaps of shirtless Chidi sketches. And I didn't. Kudos.
No,
good on you, Internet, for staying true to the story and the character. What do you think it is about Chidi or about the show that people are latching onto and identifying so hard with?
Well, I mean, all right, I think starting with Chidi, we just live in a world where there's just a ton of options, and it's really easy to get locked up and not know what to decide. And I mean, I feel like people are really responding to the indecisiveness more than anything else. As far as the show goes, I think that it's just nice to see a bunch of people trying to take care of each other. I think, we live in a time where we're just sort of seeing our differences highlighted so clearly and so often that it's nice to see a bunch of people that are very different working towards a common goal and sort of, letting those differences sort of go by the wayside a little bit. And yeah, I think people are just sort of latching on to that, just to see people be good to each other and work together.
I also saw another thing that you did that you talked about. There are like similarities and differences between you and Chidi. Like both of you are indecisive, but whereas he tends to like talk it out and be really annoying about it, you tend to like shut down and have a different way of processing indecision. Has 3 seasons deep, has any of Chidi and his character started to seep into you, into the real world, into how you handle things? Have you found yourself talking things through that you wouldn't have talked through before just because you've lived with this character for 3 seasons now, 3 years?
I mean,
have you gone the other way? Have you gotten quieter?
No. I think that maybe talking to people is a good thing. It's like my mom actually made me do theater when I was in middle school because I was so shy, and she was just like, like you should learn to interact with people, and so
smart mom. Good.
Yeah. And so I'm like slowly but surely starting to try to like work some of that out. But I don't really want to burden people with my mundane.
You don't want to go full Chidi.
I really don't.
What about, all right, maybe not Chidi, but what about as a whole working on this show? How has it sort of colored the lens through which you, William, sort of see the rest of the world and the way you look at things and the way you look at people and interactions?
Well, I try to be more active with my consideration toward doing the right thing. I think that, not that I was like a complete trash bag before, but I didn't like prioritize putting good into the world as much as I do now. And it's just like, there's no harm in it, I find that it's just a little bit easier way to live, you're gonna, take yourself out of potential confrontations if you just try to, be nice to people and do the right thing.
For sure. The Good Place, the season finale is this Thursday. It's going to be on NBC. Everybody knows that. We're going to go in a second over to the audience, but before we do, as I alluded to earlier, we talked about briefly in the green room, you are a very busy man. You've got a lot of jobs right now. So many things to be excited about. One thing in particular that I thought was really cool was sort of you going back to the stage. Just in October, you wrote a play, and it was pretty amazing, and I didn't expect you to be a playwright. I don't know why. That just kind of shocked me. I was like, oh, he's an actor. I've seen him act. I go to his IMDb, and I was like, oh, he was in a play. I was like, no, he wrote a play. Forgive my ignorance. Have you written plays before? Is that something you'd done? Were you just inspired and jumped into that project? Where did that come from?
I tried to write plays for a very long time, and they were all just terrible. And so I didn't really pursue any of those or really, like let anyone see them. But this was one that I was really inspired by, or a topic that I was really inspired by. I was talking to my mom about. My mom is a big part of my creative process. Yeah. But I was talking to her about the civil rights movement in Dallas and what she remembered, because I was just curious. And she just told me not much. I don't remember a lot happening when I was a kid. I remember, there were the separate fountains and things here and there, but other than that, I don't really remember much of anything. And I thought that was really interesting. And I read a book called The Accommodation by this journalist, Jim Schutz, which sort of unpacks the civil rights movement in Dallas and why it was so off the radar and so calm in comparison to a lot of other major cities in the South, and it inspired this play. It was, I don't know, I feel like it sort of, his work as a journalist inspired the play, which I think sort of helps us, it helps me to deal with the world that we have rather than the one that we wish we had, where, after the civil rights movement, everything was fine and nothing was ever wrong and no one was racist ever again, Fixed it, yeah, all done. And I feel like that particular book, and I feel like it really dealt with why we are where we are.
When you got the gig on The Good Place and you got on television, were you in that moment excited to one day go back to telling stories on the stage and doing live theater? Is that something that you were like, oh, now that I've done this is great. I'm so excited for this. I'm living in the moment. But was there a part of your brain that was like, this is going to enable me to do these other things that I've been wanting to do for so long?
God.
Yeah.
It's so, because here's the thing. It's like actors on stage are really anxious most of the time because, theater just doesn't pay that much. And, you're sort of like in that last week of performances, you're like, okay, I think I have enough to make it to next month. So unemployment, I have a waiting week. And then, and so you're sort of sorting these things out. And it's when you know where next month is coming from, you can just be creative. And it's really nice. It's a luxury. It's not, it's great.
It is great, man. I'm so excited to see you being able to exercise all these different creative parts of your brain. One last part, we're going to go to the other side of the spectrum. I know you're in the second season of Jack Ryan. Yeah. I saw that. Have you started any of that yet?
Oh yeah, no.
That seems intense. That's in the can.
Yeah.
That sounds like that's an intense experience. Can you say anything about it at all?
I can't say anything. No. They gave me 2 scripts.
Yeah.
And I think even when I asked for the full script before I shot, because they just gave me my scenes, and I was just like, who am I? What am I doing? And then they finally gave me the script. So I have no idea what's happening and where it's going. I think I'm a good guy.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
We're going to find out together when that premieres for you land. That's amazing, man. Is there anything, I heard a movie as well. Is there anything else I've missed that you've got going on right now? What else are you doing, man?
Well, I got, there's this really interesting indie that I shot no, 2 years ago.
It's like an indie.
Yeah.
I'm working now, yeah.
Called Lost Holiday, about a woman who goes home for the holidays and winds up in this weird kidnapping, blackmail, extortion sort of thing. And it's but it's kind of a comedy, and it's I'm excited to see that one finally. I haven't seen it yet. I've just seen like clips of it and stuff like that.
How often does that happen to you? Remember, you get into something and you don't see it for a while. You don't get to see the finished product.
Oh, almost all the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like you do a thing, and then like a year later, maybe you get a clip of something that you need to do some ADR for, and then you're like, okay, great, and then maybe it never comes out ever, yeah.
That happens too.
Yeah.
Well, thankfully, one thing we know for a fact is coming out is the last episode of this season.
Yeah.
That's this. You like that segue, by the way?
Yeah,
That was a nice
smooth.
segue. Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah,
right?
well done.
Thank you. That's happening this Thursday on NBC. I wrote down the time just to make sure I didn't mess this up. 9:30, 8:30 Central Thursday. The Good Place season 3 finale. Season 4 is on its way. Audience Q&A. We've got at least 3 questions. It looks like first one is going to come from right over yonder. Go for it. What's up?
Good morning. My question is about on-set shenanigans, I suppose. Who breaks you the most on set? And then in general, do you know who breaks the most?
Manny breaks me on set all the time. He's such a weirdo. And like he has my number as far as like just weird choices. Like anything that just doesn't make sense, I'm done. I'm like a mess on the floor, and he comes after me in particular. And yeah, I think I don't know. I mean, like, it's a toss-up between me and Ted breaking the most on stage. On screen. I mean, like, but it's cuter when Ted does it, So it's cuter when Ted does it.
I had to write this part down because there were so many ridiculous names, almost in one episode. Some of them are spread across, but Maya Rudolph, Nicole Byer, Jason Mantzoukas, Paul Scheer, Mindy St. Clair, Adam Scott. Like, how do you get anything done on this set with this revolving door of and that's not even the primary cast. Like,
No.
these are guest stars.
No.
I would imagine it to be impossible to get any work done with all of these crazy people, these immensely talented, funny people walking in and out.
Honestly, they're so talented that you're scared of them at first.
Yeah.
So you're just sort of like, all right, let me just, like, I need them to like me. I need them to like me so much. and then when you calm down, you can't keep a straight face. Yeah. I mean, especially with Maya, Lord. God, man. Yeah, she got me so hard so many times. That sounded wrong. She got me.
To be specific, should we walk away from it?
No, yeah, we're gonna leave it. Let's let it
I
go.
want to know specifics.
No, it's fine.
Afraid.
It's fine. No. No.
Well, here's what I'll say. What you want to talk about weird decisions or brilliant decisions, that she is an individual who can take just the most mundane line on paper and make a decision and give it a reading and turn it into classic genius, like quotable. Like She is unbelievable in that way. Every time she opens her mouth, you're just like, man, she's good. She's funny.
Yeah.
She's a real treasure.
Yeah. She's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. See, we turned it around.
Yeah.
We got a couple more questions from the audience. Next one's coming from right over here. Go for it.
Hi, William. I'm so excited to see the finale later this week. I know you have some TV experience before this show as well, and I know you also have some stage experience. I watched After the Blast, and I really loved the play. So I was wondering, between these different media, what kind of experiences can you take away from stage that you can put on TV, and vice versa? What kind of experiences can you take from TV and put it on stage?
Oh man, yeah. It's really, they're very different animals. Like I feel like the thing that I can take from being on camera and apply to the stage is just being subtle, just sort of being comfortable and not feeling like you have to do too much. Sometimes that works. Sometimes it very does not. But it's useful. It's a great place to start. And I think that being on stage and with it being a very text-driven medium, dialogue-driven medium, it makes working with dialogue on camera very, very easy. You know, it's like the lines go in pretty quick, and you know, like there's a meticulousness that I like to like to try to engage in. That I think it can really sort of like make a script sing a little bit better sometimes when you're on camera, because it's, you know, like that's the fun stuff for me. It's not necessarily all the bits. It's like the words.
It's a great question. Thank you. We've got time for one more question, and it's going to be right over here.
Hello, I was just wondering, what is it like to work with Kristen Bell?
Man, you know, I want to make a joke, but I feel like I can't.
Please,
Yeah.
make a joke, make
No. It's not that. It's not good. It's not worth it. It's not good.
It's a dud?
Yeah, it's a dud.
Okay.
It's a dud.
Fly over.
But you know, she's an entity. You know, she's like just this super mom, artist, incredibly smart, incredibly funny, really wicked sense of humor. And she also keeps us all on track. The five of us, you know, minus Kristen, we can be real goofballs, and she can too, obviously, but she's like a consummate professional, and you know, she's like very much the captain of our ship, you know, and it's and she's so kind and she's so sweet that it's like it sort of just permeates the entire set. And you know, that's yeah, she's great. And you know, it's like she plays a trash bag, and I think she might be I think she might be honestly the best person among us, because she is just so conscious of doing good and being good and putting that in the world. And yeah, she's amazing.
All right, thank you.
Wow. I was going to ask a dumb question about Ted Danson flossing to end this, but honestly, I think that's where we end it. That was beautiful. Yeah. That was something. I want to thank everybody for being such an awesome audience and hanging out with us and having great questions, and remind the world at large that The Good Place Season 3 comes to a close this Thursday on NBC at 9:30, 8:30 Central. I had to look it up real quick to make sure I had the time right. But thank you for watching at home. And a huge, huge thanks. Everybody make a ridiculous amount of noise to the great William Jackson Harper. Thank you, sir.